I have read, heard, and seen innumerable court decisions, articles, columns, books, podcasts, interviews, cartoons, and memes saying that the constitutions, state and federal, are silent on some subject, situation, or whatnot. With all due respect, that is frustratingly ignorant, destructive, malicious, and or tribal. Hi, I'm Andy Horning, author of Relating the Torch. As mentioned in previous podcasts, the Ninth Amendment clearly concedes that we the people have all rights, properties, and powers not specifically taken away in the clear writing of the constitutions, state and federal. But the 10th Amendment clearly decrees that government has no power or authority not specifically granted in the federal constitution, and practically all state constitutions say something similar for the state. So there is no silence. If a constitution doesn't say we can't do or have something, we can have and do it. If the Constitution doesn't say that government can do or have something, it is specifically, in writing, forbidden from doing or having it. A basic, fundamental principle in justice is that you can't give away what doesn't belong to you. That goes for governments as well as the rest of us. And when people claim that the constitutions have no punishments for problematic politicians, they're copping out on our power and duty every election day. Politicians are supposed to fear us. It's not supposed to be the other way around. So let's put that into daily news. Despite their campaign rhetoric, every one of Indiana's federal politicians has voted for more cronyism, spying, lying, silencing, spending, foreign entanglements, subterfuge, and debt, quite the opposite of what most voters want. Every one of these incumbents and both crony parties have robbed you of money, rights, autonomy, and opportunity. No exceptions. Not from Indiana, anyway. There are very few exceptions like Rand Paul or Thomas Massie. So very few politicians from any state voted against the recent $886 billion spending bill that is, in fact, a cornucopia of the aforementioned evil stuff that most people say they don't want. So today, a common question on alternative media interviews is, why do you think politician X, like Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, or pick a name of almost any and every Republican in politics today, spoke common sense before the election, but has now become yet another cog in the status quo corruption machine? Why is that? I'm astonished how few ever answer correctly when the answer has been known for generations. It's corruption, by either the carrot or the stick. Harry S. Truman famously wrote that, quote, "We want no Gestapo or secret police. FBI is tending in that direction. They are dabbling in sex life scandals and plain blackmail. Edgar Hoover would give his right eye to take over, and all congressmen and senators are afraid of him," unquote. In other words, knowledge, particularly of the leverageable dark sort, is power. That's the stick. Intimidation, personal attacks and smear campaigns, faked evidence, lawfare, and assassinations are quite the inducement to toe the line. Maybe the faked Steele dossier was easily discovered to be a fake, but half the country still believes it. Similarly, AI tools are getting better every day and can today, much more convincingly, create any sort of documentation desired using the actual image and voice of a targeted victim. I've already seen a few politically motivated fakes and edits shared on social media as if they're real. How many of us, like me, use facial recognition to open our phones or computers and use our voices for texting? It doesn't matter that many wouldn't believe what the nefarious could come up with as long as enough people would believe to manufacture consent or swing an election. It doesn't take much to destroy a career, a campaign, a court case, or even an important personal relationship. But even before the existence of military-industrial complex and scientific technological elites that Eisenhower and even our founders warned against, behind-the-scenes tyrants like John D. Rockefeller and other Malthusian eugenicists bent on global domination used their money to take over entertainment, healthcare, and, of course, education. They created tax-exempt NGOs and INGOs to build the stage and attach strings to our present political puppet show. Campaigns are expensive, too expensive. That is an issue I will no doubt discuss later. And that makes candidates open to the carrot, that is, campaign donations, insider trading, and other corruptions of money and other bribes. Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum succeeded where the Fabians, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, and Council on Foreign Relations did not, by assembling a corporatocracy of wealthy corporations and the ultra-rich by what he calls stakeholder capitalism. That is another way of saying globalist, corporatist mercantilism, which is also another way of saying fascism or National Socialism, as only dreamed by Mussolini and Hitler. Their money base includes all traditional media and entertainment groups like Disney, financial powers like BlackRock, and of course the whole of our military, industrial, and scientific technological elite, including the CIA, FBI, Raytheon, Boeing, Google, Facebook. The money and power in all of this is both immense and seductive. So our visible elected government has become a protection racket for a shadow government of ruling class elites. Fortunately, those of us who have been decrying this for decades are no longer a tiny number of fringe voices. New media and new documentation such as Whitney Webb's exhaustively researched, 2-volume, One Nation Under Blackmail, have detailed the connections from our government's first employments of the mob to what really was the story with Jeffrey Epstein's clients. The simple fact and the correct answer to the aforementioned interview question is that while we the people slept, our politicians sold out, and we kept re-electing them anyway. We the people have not been the ones supplying either carrots or sticks. The unconstitutional, inherently divisive, and self-appointed two-party system has, over time, become only a red herring smokescreen puppet show diversion from the real powers behind the curtain. Enough of us now know it that we should stop re-electing this whole system of corruption. And we can. But I've already been asked, what does this have to do with the Constitution? It never mentions corruption or privacy or INGOs, does it? And this is where we keep screwing up. Once again, recall the most important 2 sentences in our federal Constitution and Bill of Rights, Amendments 9 and 10. We have rights to our privacy, property, bodies, self-determination power to fire everybody, from local politicians all the way up to the people that try to buy them. Not just on Election Day, but in the marketplace and in the streets. We have the natural right to self-protection of ourselves, our loved ones, our property, and our rights by any means we choose. But politicians have no authority, powers, or rights to spy, to pay journalists to deceive us with their own money, to fund foreign governments and organizations or foreign wars, or delegate any governing power at all to any bureaucrat, corporation, cartel, NGO, INGO, the UN, or anybody related to Klaus Schwab, George Soros, the Clintons and Obamas, or Bill Gates. The Constitution never grants our politicians any authority to pay foreigners to come here, to fund bioweapons research in China or Ukraine, to democratize private companies' research while they privatize the profits, or work against our common interests in any way. The Constitution never grants our politicians any authority to take our money for anything that's not specifically mentioned, so that prohibits, of course, taking our money for primary elections to select only Democratic and Republican Party candidates, or to fund media outlets, foreign nations, and corporations that write fat checks to campaign funds. We still have the power to tear away the curtain and see the truth. We still have the power to fire not only the puppeteers, but the entire consortium of kingmakers, bundlers, partisan staffers, corporate cronies, 3-letter agents, and globalist NGOs. It's in our power to fire everybody, but it's our duty as citizens in a republic to fire everybody who violates our rights and property and their oaths of office. That is, in fact, the whole point of elections. Our votes are our weapons of peaceful revolution, and it's time we use them. And that's not all the power we've got. The constitutions are not silent. We just haven't been listening. It's time we do. Liberty or bust. Have a great day.